Hi guys, Aka here. So, a new event and we have a new general. This time we have George Monck, the guy with the swankiest mustache in all of Evony. But I'm sure people like Hunyadi and Wallenstein might have something to say about that. Fun fact though, there are actually quite a few generals in Evony with mustaches. You know, it's something I never really noticed, but yeah, they are. Anyway, so we have George Monck. He's the latest CAV general to be added to the Evony lineup, and we're going to take a look at him to see exactly what he can do. So let's hop right in. So we have George Monck here, and just a quick look at his base stats. They're pretty decent, okay? Pretty good base stats. Now, for his main skill, he gets 50% attack, 40% defense, and 40% HP. And this is when attacking and when the general brings a dragon or a spirit beast. Okay, so he's gonna need one of them. All right, now when we look at his specialties and we go through all of them and put them together, Monck comes out with 80% attack, 40% defense, and 50% HP. Okay, that's decent for the specialties. Now we look at his ascension, and by the time we put everything together, Monck comes out with 90% attack, 40% defense, and 55% HP. Now, when you put all of those stats together, George Monck comes out with a total of 220% attack, 120% defense, and 145% HP. Okay, those are good stats. Those are very respectable stats. And if my memory serves me correctly, he's only one of two generals to break the 200 mark for the attack. Okay, so he's doing very well. Now, let's compare him to the other generals. Now, as you see here, okay, Monck is doing pretty okay against the other generals. Now, like I said, he's one of only two generals to cross the 200 mark for attack. The other general is Marco Polo, and they're both tied. So that's pretty good. On the defense and the HP, he's doing better than Marco Polo, and in fact, he's doing better than the other generals that we have on this list as well. So, based on the stats alone, George Monck is doing pretty good. Okay, he's doing pretty well. Probably the highest stats in the game and very respectable stats. However, as you probably already know, we are in the age of the super CAV generals. And George Monck is lacking in one key area: march size. Now here we have the march sizes of all the generals we're looking at. And as you can see, George Monck has the lowest march size out of all of them. Okay, in fact, based on the march sizes alone, it's not even a contest. Like, they're blowing him out of the water for the march size. And as we all know, march size is a very critical factor when it comes to, the effectiveness of your mounted march. So, when you put the stats and the march sizes together, I think, based on what we've seen so far, the other generals that we are comparing Monck to are better than him. He's pretty much the best on the stats, but when you factor the march size in, yeah, he really falls short. So that's a major issue with George Monck. Now, looking at that, you might think that there might not be that much point of getting George Monck. But he does have one redeeming feature, and that's when we look at his covenant. So we have his covenant here, and these are the generals that he needs for his covenant. Now, it's very interesting that Hunyadi is one of the generals that is there, kind of like got some mustache bro kind of stuff going on here. Anyway, so when we look at the stats for his covenant, yeah, they're pretty decent, they're pretty okay. There is no march size in there for any of you that might have been hoping for that, no March size. But if you look at this Covenant right here, he's got in rally mounted troop attack 10%. And that's a gold stat, meaning that it will apply in all situations, irrespective of whether you're using this general or not. So, in my opinion, that is a good enough reason for you to grab at least one copy of George Monck to do his Covenant. It's an easy 10% buff to your rally mounted attack. So yeah, I don't see any reason why not to go for it. Aside from that though, his Covenant is pretty okay. Pretty standard stuff. Alright, so now that we're done with that, we want to go and have a look at his compatibility. And the first thing that we want to check is his compatibility with skill books. Okay, so we have George here. And if we go through the list of skill books, we have mounted troop attack here. Okay, we check that, he can take it. We scroll down, look for the mounted defense. Here it is. We check it, mounted defense is good. All right, we go down, look for the HP. HP is good as well. And then for good measure, the March size is good as well. So George Monck can take all the important skill books needed for a mounted general. So that's good for him. Now, we want to go and check his compatibility with some of the other generals that we have in the game. So we have George here, and the first general that we want to check his compatibility with is Hestia. Okay? And as we can see, George and Hestia are compatible. Okay, that's good. Now, moving on, we check with Zhao Yun. Okay? Monck is compatible with Zhao Yun, which is cool. Then, he's also compatible with Mr. I'm So Sexy Poly G. Okay? So that's a good combination. We check him with Martinus, and he's compatible with Martinus. So that's cool. A lot of people still use Martinus. So, yeah, good combination there if you want it. Now, for the big ones, we check with Washington Prime. He's compatible with Washington Prime. All right, that's good. We look at the other big generals. We check with Napoleon. Unfortunately, he is not compatible with Napoleon. All right, so that's scratch one for the big boys. We check with Marco Polo. Unfortunately, he is also not compatible with Marco Polo. So that's scratch two for the big boys. But he is compatible with Chen Yaojing. Okay? So, yeah, that's a very strong combination if you want to go that way. Now, of course, there are tons of other CAV generals available in the game. So, if you know of any prominent combinations, please feel free to drop them down in the comments below. Okay, so now that we've looked at George Monck pretty much as the main general, let's take a look at what he can do as the assistant. All right, and as you can see here, again, Monck is doing pretty well on the stats for assistants. For pretty much most of the generals that we are looking at, he will give you the highest attack as an assistant and also the highest HP as well. Okay, he's not quite the highest on defense, but you can live with that. The part that you might not be able to live with is the march size. Okay, and that is because for George Monck, his march size is in his ascension, the third ascension right there. So you will not get any march size if you're using him as an assistant. And as we can see here, yeah, that really changes the complexion of his viability as an assistant, especially when you consider some of the crazy CAV generals that we've been getting lately. So, with all that said and done, the verdict on George Monck is that he is a decent general, just not good enough. Okay? We are in the era of super CAV generals. We've got Washington Prime, we've got Marco Polo, we've got Chen Yaojing, and you even throw in Napoleon in there. Unfortunately, Monck, even though he's got great stats, he's not really measuring up to those top generals. That's just the honest truth. If you have any of those generals, or you are aspiring to have the best CAV general in the game, or at least a very strong one, My honest opinion is that there's little reason for you to get George Monck. The only reason, okay, the only reason why I would advise that you get at least one copy of George Monck is for his Covenant, okay? That in rally mounted troop attack plus 10% is an easy buff, and that will certainly help you out when you are trying to make your cav march as strong as possible. Now, as I said earlier, Monck is not one of the best cav generals that I would recommend for anyone to get. And I have covered most of the cav generals. I've covered Washington Prime. I've covered Chen Yaojing. But if you're looking for the best cav general that you can get, my recommendation would be Marco Polo. And if you want to see the review for Marco Polo to see if he's someone that you can get and how he would fit into your game, then you can check out this video here, which has the full review on Marco Polo in all his glory. So if you want to see that, be sure to check it out. That's it for me, guys. Thank you very much. Aka signing out.